Welcome to the Rustic Garden. Today I want to talk about seed starting mix, flats, trays, and cells, what you use to start your seeds indoors. And I'm also going to talk about basic mix prep. How do you set your seed starting mix up to go into your cells and into your flats, and then just talk about watering. I will do all the other videos on how you plant, lighting, and all kinds of different things. But today I just want to hit seed starting mix, flats, trays, and cells for starting your seeds, and basic mix prep and watering. When you go to the store, I recommend that you get a seed starter or seed starting mix. You can find bags that say potting soil. You really do want to look for something that's more specific and says seed starting. And the only reason being is there's only really 2 or 3 basic ingredients in your seed starting mix. First of all, you want to buy dry quartz. It says down here 10 dry quartz. You're going to get a little bit more for your money. Seed starting mix is sterile, so you don't have to worry about diseases coming into your soil, and it's really a mix of usually peat moss, and it's Canadian sphagnum peat moss, and vermiculite, and it's just really 2 products. Sometimes they'll throw in a little bit of lime to make the mix neutral. They might add in a little bit of fertilizer. You don't need to buy a seed starting mix that has fertilizer. They only use like 0.2% nitrogen. Might even be lower, might even be like 0.02, I don't know, but it's a really low amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and you can do that yourself. You don't have to spend extra money on a seed starting mix that has nutrients. And again, they usually use vermiculite to some degree, and that's the little white specks that you see in there. It's not really even necessary. You could get away with peat moss. But again, seed starting mix, dry quartz, you want to use it because it's sterile. It's just really peat moss. I have videos that show you how you could make your own, but sometimes buying it is a little more convenient. So when you get it, it's going to come dry. Dry quartz, it looks like this. We'll get to the watering in a second. And when you pour it out, it's pretty much dry. You're going to save some money by getting it that way because you're not paying for the weight of the water. But to set it up, you do want to do a couple of things. And I'll tell you why. This is dry. There is a little bit of a wetting agent in there to help the lime mix in to make this, a neutral pH. But there's not enough water in it to start. You wouldn't put this right into your seed cells. This is a flat. And these are your seed cells. You wouldn't put this dry right into there, and I'll show you why. Here's some seed starting mix that you have water added. You always want to pre-moisten your starting mix before you start. If you were to bottom water, which I'll get to, and that's when you fill the water into this tray, dry mix will do something like this. It's just going to float. And you don't want that. And believe it or not, depending on the different starting mixes that you buy, this could float there for a day or 2. The wet mix, where you pre-moisten it, you put it into water, it absorbs the water right away. And that's just, and you can see, you drop it in, it sinks, the water gets absorbed in, and that's just so that when you're starting your seeds, you know that you have the right system set up. Pre-moistened, packed in the cells, water will come right up from the bottom. You're not going to have anything floating like that. That's just not absorbing the water. Now, I told you I was going to talk about the flats. This is a standard flat that you can buy. I order these online, and if you buy a kit, it usually comes with this flat, and it's great for bottom watering. It comes with these cells. That's what we're going to set up today. And then sometimes it comes with a humidity dome. I don't usually use a humidity dome. When I talk about watering, if you do it the right way, you're going to keep enough moisture in here. So your seed starting cells will come in either sometimes a 6-pack like this, or they come in a 9-pack, more of a square. Either way, you end up with 72 cells that will fill this whole space, which is a lot if you think about it. If you're just doing tomatoes, you get, take care of this, 6 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 36, 72. So this can actually grow you 72 tomato plants, and most people aren't going to use them. Now, to get these ready for starting your seeds indoors, and again I'm going to talk about lighting in a different video, but you want to pre-moisten your soil. This is pre-moistened. It's a little bit too wet. See how the water drips out? You don't want it to be quite that wet. but you just add in warm water. Cold water is not going to mix right away. So just start with a little bit of warm water and use your hand and just mix it in. And this is going to absorb it very quickly, and that's the consistency that you want to pack into your seed starting trays or seed starting cells. Squeeze it. A little too much water coming out. Just add some more in there. And that's a pretty good consistency. So now it looks pretty good. A couple of drips will come out. That's about where you want it to be. Now when you pack the cells, you don't want to just drop it in like that and leave it loose. And the reason being is it's so loose that if you put a seed in here, there's a chance that it's going to fall down here and it's going to have trouble germinating. So what I recommend is fill it, thumb pack it down, just press it down. That's going to create a nice starting base for your seeds to sit on and begin to germinate. And then just refill it, wipe off the excess. You also pack it down so that the starting mix goes down to the bottom. And I'll just do one more. Then I'll talk to you about the watering. So again, you can buy these seed starting cells online. You can buy them in stores. And then we'll do one more. Fill it up, pack it down, fill it again, just press it in and scrape off the excess. So now you have 18 starting cells for different seeds, different vegetable plants. Now the bottom watering, and you can see again, remember the pre-moistened starting mix sank quickly, absorbed the water. The other totally dry mix is still floating on there. You just don't want that. Let me move that out of the way. Set this up. Now once these are in, there's a couple of reasons why you want to bottom water. First reason is if you're doing a lot of these, you're going to save yourself a lot of time. It's a lot easier just to fill this tray to about a quarter of the way. You let it sit, let the water absorb up, you pour out the excess. The other thing is when you put in seeds for the first time, and if you try and water on top, you would use a watering can, but you can see the splash that happens. And this stream of water is going to push your seeds down. It's just not healthy for your seeds. It's also going to splash the mix up. If you happen to have diseases like damping off disease, it's going to splash the diseases around. It's going to wet the germinated seeds that come up, the tiny little plants. You don't want that. Always bottom water. It's a nice uniform, even way of watering all your plants. After you fill this up, and all you do for bottom watering is fill the tray up. Now I would need a little bit more. You want it on a flat surface, but you want it to come up about a fifth of the way or a quarter of the way, and it's going to absorb all the water right through the tiny holes in here. You just let this water sit in here for about 30 minutes. The excess, when you're done, you can just keep an eye on your tray. Let's see if I can do this. Woo! Messy. Pour it right into the container and then get rid of it. With practice, you'll figure out how much water you need, so you're not really pouring off that much. But it is important, and the reason I wanted to do that is just to remind you, you have to pour the excess off. You don't want your plants sitting in water for 24 hours, 48 hours. It's just a recipe to cause problems, that your starting mix is going to be too wet and diseases can start. So after 30 minutes, you just pour off the excess water. And when to water is a question I get a lot. When you first start, you set up your seed cells for germination. It's only going to be about one time a week. I don't use a humidity dome. If you do use a humidity dome, you have to water a whole lot less. But I don't like moisture on top of the soil. I don't like it around the germinating plants. I think it breeds, or is an opportunity for more fungus to grow and breed. I just don't use them. And if you water regularly, you don't need it. You may plant specialty seeds that need higher moisture. You may have plants that need to be sprayed with a spray bottle. That would be rare. I can't even think of anything off the top of my head that you might need that. So I bottom water. For the first, when you just start, it's only about once a week. Once your seeds come up, you know, they get a little bit taller, you're going to have to maybe water twice a week. And then once your plants are a couple inches high, you know, you might have to go to 3 times a week. That just depends on what variety of vegetable plant you're growing, how much water you need. But the trick is not to worry so much about how many times did you water that week. It's really to look at the top of the surface. The surface top right now is a dark color. It's moist, you can feel it. This will dry out, it will get lighter, it will look more like the starting mix, like right here. It will have this light color to it. Hard to tell on camera, but it will get lighter. And the top always dries out first, so if you're eyeballing the top of your starting mix, you're not going to have to worry. The moisture is going to stay down here where the root system is. So you just watch the top. When it gets to that light brown color, if it feels a little bit dry to the touch, then you're ready to fill up the bottom of the tray. Let the water, let the seed cells sit in the flats in the trays for about 30 minutes and then dump out the excess water. And that's going to really take care of watering. So just to recap, you definitely want to use something that's called seed starting mix. It's usually peat moss, vermiculite. It's sterile. You don't need to buy one that has fertilizers in it. You want to pre-moisten it before you pack it into the cells. Pack it in with your thumb, fill it again, water from the bottom, and you're going to have a great starting base and a great start for starting your vegetable plants, your vegetable seeds indoors. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.blogspot.com and also check out my YouTube videos. Thanks.